What a brilliant book I'm reading. I'm on page 372. I still have 150 pages to go. If you're watching this on YouTube, have a look at how many things I've already highlighted here. There is so much honesty, so much wisdom and soul in this book. This is a collection of letters that Van Gogh wrote to his brother Theo during his lifetime. His brother Theo, mostly to his brother Theo, but also to his friend. There is a letter to his sister. It's writing that comes from the heart. And there are so many reflections and quotes on procrastination, what it means to be an artist, creativity, fear of failure, money and art. I've picked 4 quotes. So let's start with the first one. I will put it up on the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. On page 6, I read this. And this is the very first quote that I highlighted in the book. On page 6, it's a letter to his brother Theo, written in London, January 1874. Van Gogh wrote this: "Admire as much as you can. Most people don't admire enough. Do go on doing a lot of walking and keep up your love of nature, for that is the right way to understand art better and better. Painters understand nature and love her and teach us to see." 2 parts. The first one, admire as much as you can. Most people don't admire enough. Do you agree with this? Do you agree that most people don't admire enough? I agree. I agree because I am one of those people who don't admire enough. What do we mean by admire? Admiring. Admiring is, I looked up the definition in the dictionary, and it means to see something and think that it's impressive and interesting. How many times do we do this a day? How many times do we look at something? It doesn't necessarily have to be an object or a view or a person, something that exists in the material world. It might be something that exists in our minds. How many times do we admire one of our ideas or one of our thoughts or one of our stories, something that happened to us in the past? Do we admire that thing? Do we think it's impressive and interesting? I think most of us think that, no, not really, not really. The usual feeling is, I'm an ordinary person. I don't have any interesting stories or any interesting ideas. Everything has already been written. Everything has already been painted. Everything has already been said. How can I contribute? What value can I add? All right. This is one thing, but the other thing is also how often do you admire something that exists in the material world? It could be like we don't need to go to New York, for example. I went to New York 2 weeks ago. It was a trip, and I was staying in New Jersey, not in Manhattan. So I could see from a distance the skyline of New York, and I admire that because that was extraordinary. All those buildings, all those tall buildings. Only another time I felt like this, and it was when I walked in St. Peter's Square in Rome in 2009 for the first time, and it was nighttime, and I saw all those columns, and I felt the same feeling of, I don't know, wonder. But I don't have to go to New York or to Rome to feel like that. We can see it all around us. The problem is we cannot see it. I mean, it's around us, but we cannot see it. One of my students at the university where I teach, it's an art university, she said, beauty is all around us. You just need to see. And I thought, beauty is all around us? What do you mean? Well, look around you, she said. And I looked around here on my desk, and I had a bottle. Actually, it could have been this bottle. And I said, where is beauty here? I was kind of playing the devil's advocate there. And she said, well, that bottle it was an idea. In origin, it was just an idea. Someone thought about the shape. Someone thought about how to make that bottle. It's beautiful. Fabio, we just need to observe, to watch closely. The problem is, Van Gogh said more than 100 years ago that we don't admire enough. Well, what about now? Now that we have these scrolling, I feel scrolling is the opposite of admiring. If you are on Instagram, I used to be on Instagram, and I used to follow photographers, and I would just scroll their photos without stopping, without admiring the photo, like without paying attention. Look at what this is. I took a photography course once, and the photographer, it was a one-to-one course. She said, you could have all the equipment, all the best equipment in the world, but the best camera you have is this, your eyes. Your eyes. So your eyes are the tool to observe, to capture, to see, to notice, to admire. It all starts from here, from your ability to see things, to admire things, to think that that thing is interesting and impressive. That's what a great photographer does. That's what a great painter does. The problem is we don't think that how we feel about something. So if I feel that that thing is impressive, we've been taught that how we feel about something beautiful, something that for us is impressive, we've been taught that that is not important. And that's why most of us don't admire enough. They don't admire enough, and even if they do, maybe they don't go on and make and create, because who cares about how I feel about the view out of my window? No one cares about that. So what's the point of painting that beautiful thing that I see, that impressive thing that I see? The same goes for writing. Who cares about how I feel about my life story? No one cares. So poof, it goes. It's a waste of art. It's a waste of art. But this is not something that Van Gogh said. This is something that I'm adding. This is how I'm interpreting his words. I'm using his quotes to reflect and to build on what I already know. The second part of the quote is, do go on doing a lot of walking and keep up your love of nature, for that is the right way to understand art better and better. He was a brilliant walker, so he did a lot of walking, Van Gogh, without his phone. Painters understand nature and love her and teach us to see. This is the point of the quote, I think. Painters teach us to see. Artists teach us to see. Writers, photographers, all artists, they teach us to see what we cannot see by ourselves or what we fail to notice. This is what the artist does. This is what the writer does. This is what a great novel, a personal story. If you admire what's in the real world and what's in your head, you have the raw material to create and to make art. Enough said about the first quote. All right, here is the second one. It comes from a letter to his brother Theo again. It was written in July 1880. Van Gogh writes this: "But what is your final goal, you may ask? That goal will become clearer will emerge slowly but surely, much as the draft turns into the sketch and the sketch into the painting, through the serious work done on it, through the elaboration of the original vague idea, and through the consolidation of the first fleeting and passing thought. We could interpret it in two different ways. One is about your goal in life, because the context here was his goal in life. So we could interpret it as what is our purpose in life. That goal will become clearer as we go. But I want to talk about it in more practical terms. Recently, I sent out a survey to my private email list to aspiring tiny authors, people who want to write a tiny book. And then I'm having interviews these weeks with some of these respondents, and I asked them, where do you have a draft? Have you started something? Have you ever written something? And some of them said, yes, I have a draft, but I procrastinate. I'm not finishing this book anytime soon because I don't know. The draft is a mess, basically. It's a mess. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to continue. And so this is why I picked this quote as well, because the draft is just a draft. It's meant to be a mess. How can you develop a draft and transform it into something, into a final product? Well, serious work. You have to work on that. There's no other way. And this brings me to the fourth quote on page 301. It's this one. I would sooner have a failure than sit idle and do nothing. Better to work on that idea that you've already got. Maybe you've got a draft, maybe not. But it's better to work on that than sit idle and hope to what? The last quote is about money, and it's on page 189. All right, here we go. This was written to his brother Theo, again, 20th of August, 1882. Van Gogh says this: above all, please don't think I don't care about earning money. What I'm trying for is the shortest mean to that end, on the understanding that the work is of genuine and lasting merit, which I can only expect if I put something really good into it and make an honest study of nature. Not if I work exclusively with an eye to sellability, for which one is bound to suffer later. Working exclusively with an eye to sellability. That's not what Van Gogh wanted to do. Van Gogh was broke. In many letters, he asked for money. So he asked his brother Theo to send him money in many letters. At some point I thought, man, why don't you go find a job, like a normal job? But if he had done that, probably we wouldn't be here talking about him today. He's not the best example of a successful artist in terms of, in financial terms. But he didn't want to make art with an eye to saleability. In other words, he was not making paintings, he was not observing and watching and putting down ideas onto the canvas because his primary goal was making money. This was not his primary goal. His primary goal was to teach us to see. And I find this fascinating because this is how I approach my art. My art is, I decided, is to write tiny books. This is what my artistic, creative work is all about. Writing tiny books. I wrote one, I'm writing the second one, I want to write 100 more. And I don't want to do that with the idea, with the primary goal to make money. Of course, I want them to sell, because if I don't sell them, they don't reach the people that I want to inspire. Yes to money, but I'm not primarily focused on that. That's why I don't read. I've never read a book like Write Your Next Bestseller, because I don't care about that. I have my job, I have my clients, I have my students. My creative work is not primarily done for financial purposes. Okay, let me know what you think. Let me know if anything that was said in this in Van Gogh's book, or anything that I said, resonated with you, or made you change your mind, or maybe simply sparked an idea, or maybe you disagree. Maybe you disagree with anything I said. I don't care about the likes. I don't care about like, subscribe, all that. I mean, I care. Yes, it's not true that I don't care. I care, but I care more about the comments. The comments, the people who express their ideas and react to anything that was said in my videos. So if you have something to say, please drop it in the comments. I love hearing what other people think, because this is just me thinking. This is just me reacting to this book, to the things that I read in this book. And there are different angles through which we can see the same thing. All right, enough of me, enough of Van Gogh. It's your turn now. Share your comments, let me know, and I'll see you soon with probably another podcast, another video on this book, if you think it's useful. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're a writer and you want to improve your writing, or you want to keep improving your writing, consider joining my private email list, Better Writers. I send one short email every week. I share tips, insights, things that I learn, book recommendations to help you do one thing only: become a better writer. The link is in the show notes or in the description of this video. Thank you for listening once again. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.